I'm not
We're
very good.
live. I think. I hope.
First,
Oh,
Zero
cool. We
people.
got Ben is on. Ben's in a new place.
Yeah.
Did you get a new green screen?
Now we have 3 people.
He's got so many books.
I do have books.
In other news, John was involved in a fireball-related tragedy to his facial hair.
Yes, but
The
he
drink?
cleaned it up.
If you're wondering how much starter fluid John used, the answer is too much.
The answer is
And,
yes.
and the crazy thing is, you don't even need to use starter fluid when you're installing a furnace in your house.
That's true. We're just glad you didn't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Although there was a while ago, I actually, one of the previous beard iterations, I actually did, I can't remember what the hell, it was a grill, and I was trying to light it and the lighter was out of it, and I ran a match down and it lit, and it literally went in my face and it took off half my beard. And it was like smooth shaven. It didn't burn me or anything. So that was pretty cool. So that literally has happened. Because I'm just that kind of stupid. So
did you walk immediately into the house and start flipping a coin? You're like, the Batman. Get the Batman.
Go up to my kids. Hey, kids, come in here.
And that was the last time John shaved.
Yep. And then other stupid things. I've actually been on a ladder that's up against a tree limb with a chainsaw going up to cut that tree limb down, and got halfway up it. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a bad idea. And I came down, and then Erica comes running out of the house laughing, points at me and says, I saw that. Oh, great. Oh my gosh. We got a little bit. Oh, we ready to kick this off, Ryan?
We're ready. You ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
All right. We're going to roll that broken finger.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello and welcome to another edition of Black Hills Information Security Talking About News. My name is John Strand, and I'm here joined by our illustrious cast of characters. But this particular episode is brought to you by Black Hills Information Security. We do security work. We're working our best to become a horizontal and vertical monopoly. So please help us with that. If you need any security testing, SOC work, anything like that, come our way and work with us until we become an evil monopoly. It is also brought to you by Antisyphon Infosec Training, home of Pay What You Want training, and really trying to focus on world-class, affordable security training. So with that, today I am joined by Ryan, who always makes us sound good, who somehow today sounds better than any of us. Ralph, who I'm going to hand it over for, because honestly, he's probably more prepared than I am, because I taught all last week. I taught this week. My son graduated from high school this weekend. We have Ian, who's hanging out as well, as always. Corey and Noah. And I'm really happy. We've got Mike is on with us. This is 2 weeks in a row now?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row.
All right. We've got Ben, who's in a completely different room, and it's kind of freaking me out. And we have Serena, who I'm hoping now has the microphones and the cameras. Literally like a month after we hired you, we're finally getting you the tools so you can effectively do your job, whatever that may be. So how's everybody doing? Did you all have a good weekend? Because mine was crazy.
Pretty good.
Overall, well.
Weekend good. Weekend
I
good.
didn't get hit by ransomware over the weekend.
Yes.
Didn't
that's
either.
true. I feel
Anybody
like that's
get
always a good
ransomware?
thing.
Ryan, ransomware? Any
Ransomware?
Any free?
I think
Yeah,
that's why
ransomware.
he said he's been busy. It could plausibly be that.
Yeah.
Could be the ransomware.
Could be.
No, just like once again, I just feel like we need to rename the show Ransomware. Just ransomware.
Talking about ransomware.
Talk about ransomware. Just doing that.
And how only
I ran
ethics keep us
somewhere.
from being really rich.
Yeah, I'm thinking we need to set up like the ransomware of the week, like Zombieland had the kill of the week. We should have like the ransomware of the week. Like, what is the best example of ransomware?
Oh, we have it. We absolutely.
Oh, we have it. What is the first story for the ransomware of the week, everybody?
Well, the Bank of Zambia had a little interesting response to their ransomware.
Well, let's do the
I might
reveal.
say the less than typical response, one might say.
This article has the best, like,
It's all clickbait.
it's all clickbait, but it's so amazing that like subtitles they chose. There's one that says texticular response, which yeah. So for those that don't know, the Bank of Zambia, which is in sub-Saharan Africa for geography people,
Where's that? On the
was
map?
hit by ransomware, but of course their key servers were protected. So instead
their
of negotiating,
core servers were fine. It was great.
Yeah, it's fine, right? So what they do is they just respond to the ransomware actors with a male organ.
It's a classic response.
Does that count as Is that count as negotiating with terrorists, though?
Is this in the incident response handbook?
Is this in the incident response?
Is this like one of the plays? Do we need a card for this in Backdoors?
No, it wouldn't be in the. It would be in the incident response handbook. This is obviously the work of a ransomware negotiator. Like if I've ever seen one.
They have a professional ransomware negotiator on staff.
This is how they communicate in low quality.
They hired what was it, Tom Cruise's character from Tropic Thunder to negotiate.
So we pretty much told them where to get off, confirming that it was someone affiliated with them.
Wow.
They're just
And
going
I
all the
love
way
how they
with us.
confirmed it. I want to know. I want you all to know right now. I want to start doing security in Africa because if the Bank of Zambia is working this way, I want to party with these people. This is the most uncorporate America response. Like, I want this to be in a SANS textbook at some point in the future where they're talking about, how to respond to ransomware. There should be a slide. It's like, what you can do is restore from backups. You can engage your insurance company. You could try to see if you can extract the crypto key working with your forensics firm that's working with you. Or you could send the ransomware group a dick pic. And I got to be honest, if I was running this ransomware group, I would basically look at this and be like, all right, cool. We're giving you just because you're awesome.
So
you got to have mad respect for that. That is amazing.
I mean, so it's funny. They actually originally thought that the like negotiation chat had been hijacked and someone was just trolling. But then the bank actually confirmed, like, no, that was us. We said that.
No, we meant to send that. That was intentional.
We give you back everything. So.
White Cyberduck said a ransomware negotiator was Anthony Weiner.
Well, clearly their chat program couldn't tell the difference between hot dog, not hot dog.
They're gonna have to get.
This is awesome because now it's just like Serena's like, oh my god, it's a whole bunch of guys with dick jokes.
This is over and over again, just
not,
never ending.
The Bank of Zambia started it. I just like to remind you, it wasn't us.
We did not make this up.
No, they were just dealing with a bunch of little pricks.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to admit because I was like, oh, they sent eggplant photos. Yeah, it was eggplant photos. And I was like, oh no, the article just used an eggplant.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
My wife gardens, and one time she sent in something. She was like all excited, and she was going to make something from eggplant and sent a whole bunch of eggplant gifs or emojis. And my kids were like, "No, mom, don't do that." So. All right, we need to get off this topic because we could literally talk about this knock fart jokes
like, all day, right?
all
We're
day
just
long.
working them out.
just no.
We don't get paid per joke.
All right, so you guys want more ransomware?
Wait, you guys get paid?
Yeah, it's
let's do some more ransomware. What do we got on the ransomware pile?
Yeah, so it looks like Chicago students, 500,000 Chicago students.
Chicago public schools.
Yeah, in public schools. Yes.
They're not just like students of the city.
Yes, exactly. They're in the Chicago public school district, right? I guess it was ransomware attack, and their data was exposed. Specifically, date of birth, gender, grade level.
But it was a vendor, though, right?
It was. It was Battelle for kids.
Yep.
What is Battelle? Is it just battle, but they spelled it wrong? Does anyone know?
Good question.
Like, why was this vendor allowed into their?
So
they're probably like maintaining the whole thing.
They do student course information and assessment data for teacher evaluations.
Battelle for
so
kids,
it's like, hey, your kid is 70%
organization. committed to collaborating with school systems and communities to realize the power and promise of the 21st century. Wow.
Also
Well, that
committed
makes
to collaborating with
total sense now.
ransomware actors, apparently.
Well, they didn't commit to collaborating. I think they had no choice.
Hey,
we should all be certain
I think we
they
need to
care
go
about our
over,
security.
people. We need to go from this to this.
Yeah.
How can we work together?
We could bring
So
this
sorry,
together.
John. So sorry.
I think
So
the
isn't
real
this-
learning point on this one, though, is the fact that they had a contract that said they were supposed to be notified immediately for the breach, and instead it was 4 months because of forensics investigations and law investigation before they were actually notified. I think that says a lot right there.
That gets into what does that mean to be notified immediately? And I think that is a good question, right? Contracts, I think, need to be a
4
little bit
months.
more clear about that, because immediately could be as soon as you think you're breached. Immediately could be as soon as we know the full extent of the breach and we've got the breach under control. I don't know.
I feel like they messed up. I feel like they messed up on this one. Even if there's an ongoing investigation, you can at least say, like, you don't have to publicize and say we were hit by ransomware this minute. Like, you can just say, like, hey, change your passwords like immediately, or we've reset everyone's passwords, or what. I don't know. You know, whatever the I don't know. I feel like at the very least, just a nondescript notification. It doesn't have to be like, here's a full debrief of like an IOCs and all that stuff. But
I mean, 4 months. 4 months is a long time.
yeah,
I feel for these folks on this. Like,
it's
like
kids
what John
too.
was saying. Well, yeah,
Kids,
they
man.
as well. But
Kids.
like what John was saying about the contracts being worded, I've been on the other side of that. When you're at like a big company or in a state government agency or something like that, the lawyers, when you spin up breach response of any sort, are like, you don't talk to anybody. We don't say boo until we know precisely the number, precisely whatever it is, so that the state attorneys general, the other lawyers, whatnot, we don't have to keep revising. So now 4 months? Does it take 4 months to do that?
That is a bit long.
No,
But
I don't
how
think-
long was the Equifax? How long was the Equifax breach known before it was made public? Because they went public with it during the hurricane down in Houston.
90 days, I think. I think it was like
Was
3
it 90 days? I can't remember exactly the exact time. But
I
in
think
that
it was.
one, it literally felt like they were just waiting for a big event to happen. And then they were like, we're going to put this out while the hurricanes, because no one's going to care about it when the hurricane. And no, everybody cared about it. Everyone's like, screw all those people down in Houston. There's a breach.
Did you breach my data?
The worst part is, as a kid, you're going to be getting phishing campaigns for years that are going to be like,
Life.
you failed math in 2016.
Yeah.
So you need to click
I need
this.
to call you about your extended warranty on your car. So
I mean, that being said, Corey, there's probably not a huge amount of value in phishing students due to, less than full time.
Actually,
Yet.
no, with a lot of that
Now,
information,
later
you can
on-
actually start taking out. It's actually a very valuable thing, because with that information, you basically have a lot of the basics that you can get started. This is a real person, this is their age, this is all this information that you can start taking out loans
Identity
in that
theft.
person's name.
Right.
And it'll take them, you can steal that identity, and it takes longer for those kids to become adults and realize their credit is completely screwed over. It's like, if somebody steals my identity, I'm going to find out about it really quickly, and it's going to get burnt really quickly. But with kids,
They're going to figure
What
it out.
kind
when
of
they
credit
go
limit are like
mortgage.
6-year-olds getting?
I don't know. I've also often wondered that.
Well,
Well,
a lot
I
of
mean,
those
it is
organizations
Yeah, no,
a
I'm
good idea.
split on that
You
Go ahead,
stuff.
can
Serena.
freeze.
What's that,
I was
Serena?
saying you could freeze your child's credit, and because obviously they wouldn't need to use it until probably they're after 18, or if you put them on one of your credit cards to help them build credit or something like that. But
That's a smart idea.
it seems like that would be a good idea, to just completely freeze that credit with the bureaus or whatever.
The biggest problem is going to be all the kid-on-kid trolling action that's going to happen because of this. Because they're going to get their hands on the data breach, then they're going to log in as their friend and mess up all their scores. They're going to, oh, I got your student ID number. I'm going to sign you up for pony classes next summer at the summer camp. Like, it's going to be a bloodbath of epic.
I'm glad we didn't go to school together, Corey.
No, kids
Yes, you're
kids
horrible.
kind, Corey. Kids are kind. I mean, middle schoolers, high schoolers, they're nice to each other.
I'm terrified of middle schoolers.
Yeah.
As an adult, I'm terrified of middle schoolers.
I'm sure there are kids that are selling NFTs for more than I'll make in my entire life. They're like 13. So
They did, not now.
It actually looks like it says, they say currently there's no social security numbers home address, health, or financial data. So I'm kind of curious what was exposed.
So it's name, date of birth, gender, grade level, school, public schools, student ID, state student ID, and then information about the courses and their scores. So that's why I said like they're gonna get phishing emails like in 2016 you failed the English exam, you dumbo. But yeah, no, I mean no SSNs, but I assume the state ID numbers and stuff is like they can't change it or like it's like you know.
Well, and there's enough information right there to log into many of those kids' accounts because schools come up with a very predictable pattern for user IDs and passwords. And like my kids have user IDs and passwords and they're horrible. And it's based on like a variant of their name and everything. And it's got like 2 numbers in it that you can brute force. I think possibly.
Allegedly.
But they build that. And then the thing that sucks is a lot of the school districts, they don't allow the kids to change their passwords either.
Right.
I don't know if that's like that in all the Chicago school districts or not. But no, I think you're right. This is going to be used for trolling against these kids for a while.
So it took a while for them to disclose this, right?
4 months. Yeah.
4 months. Yeah. So, or no, it's like 7 months they had known about it or whatever. But that's kind of common, I feel like, on these breaches, right? But speaking of that, let's talk about this next story, Zola, right? The wedding registry. So I think they may have been breached, right? But they're not going to get the opportunity, it sounds like, to hide out too long. So I know this is just a Reddit post, but this one kind of got close to me specifically because I got an email today. Me and my wife, when we, got married, we registered on this wedding, this like the millennial wedding registry, right? And I guess hackers are possibly have compromised the system, maybe, or credential stuffing, not sure yet. And then they're accessing the funds that are left over from, your wedding registry, right? Kind of interesting. We'll see if they.
I like the Zola notification on Reddit. This is going to be another example of how not to do breach disclosure properly. Not disclosing for 4 months is bad. Like that's just bad. But Zola said, if you have sent us a tweet regarding any gifts, credit funds in your account, please make sure you email our team. We'll work to reconcile this with you, which is this weird kind of oblique way of talking about it.
Well, but
and then they said, we understand some of you are waiting for your reset links. If you've requested your reset, your password more than once, you are being redirected to the homepage. It is because a new request invalidated the link prior. Reset link should be received in the hour. All of this stuff, they're talking about the tangential system.
It's your situation,
Joe. Yeah.
If you got breached, if we got breached, that is your situation.
So listen, so I got an email right from them this morning, and it said your account possibly could have been compromised or whatever.
Maybe.
But here's the funny thing, right? It was addressed to me and my wife. She got another one of those emails as well. I think they're resetting everyone's account, which then leads me back to actually there must have been a compromise. They finally figured out that people were they were stealing money out of the accounts, and they just reset everyone's, but they haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, White Cyberduck said Gen Z isn't worried about breaches because they can't afford to get married ever.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
Ouch.
I mean, how exactly is the whole point? Like, I can't come to your wedding, but I'm going to send you money. Like,
no. So like you put so it's a registry. So it'd be like the things I want.
Like, how did money end up in here? That's my question.
Because you can just give money. You can just give money as part of the registry.
And then
let's say for like a trip or something, like you want to go on a cruise for your honeymoon or something, a honeymoon fund. And so you can
give store money. The funds.
Yes, they store the funds, and then you can use that.
That's so sketchy.
So it's like an escrow account.
It's like an escrow account.
It's like an escrow account for your gifts.
Escrow account.
Submit the completed wedding application to Zola at.
I'm not getting married. Please send me money anyways. But no, seriously. So that's what it is. But okay, so here's the thing. You can use that. You can use that money to buy a gift through them. So they actually sell things, not just like it's not just a bank, right? They actually sell gifts through other vendors. But if you don't use the money, it sits there. Okay, it just goes. Like you can't use it for anything. So a lot of times you'll have leftover money, and I think that's what happened.
Okay. Huh.
I'm assuming you can just direct deposit that money into your account.
I don't think you can.
Okay, because that was going to lead me to a next question of if you can direct deposit this money into your account.
I haven't been on the site in a long time, like when we first did the registry, so I have no idea what they changed. But my question is, how are they getting the money out? So maybe they did add that feature, right?
They would have to.
And when I went to log in just recently, guess what?
Password
I need to reset my password, right? So I haven't been on there. So
did you have any money in it?
I think if it's just gifts, though, I mean, this is a pretty common scam when you deal with points programs. People will migrate points programs from different airlines or hotels or whatnot. I can totally see an angle here where if it's like, oh, we're going to log in and we didn't realize that Aunt Trisha sent us a $200 thing. And now we're going to go buy that on Bed Bath & Beyond, pick it up in the store, return it, or sell it on eBay. And it becomes basically untraceable.
I wonder if people even know how much they had left in that account.
So I think I had money in the account, but it was something stupid, like $10 or something like that.
It's like all those gift cards that just pile up somewhere.
Do you have your money?
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to check. I maybe have gotten hacked.
So I think the fallout from this is going to be a lot of social engineering attacks with people's registries. Like, you purchased a Bed Bath & Beyond sheet set in 2010, and it's now a class action lawsuit where you can get $1 million because the sheets.
There was a manufacturer defect, and they're doing now I can't think of the word. I had it. That's embarrassing.
Come on,
Noah. Have
you went to Des Moines.
Your sheets have
years ago.
You might have mesothelioma.
Recall was what I was trying to say.
It
recalled your sheets.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that. So I guess if this was you, then be on the lookout. It's also like I remember for a while it was public. Like people were talking about how you can scrape Amazon wish lists and use those as like a phishing vector. Like you can like purchase something off of someone's Amazon wish list and then it'll like send them a message and you can just be like, here's a link. Someone purchased this off your wish list or whatever.
You didn't have to scrape it. You could just put in an email address and there was like, if there's an account associated with that with Amazon, here's their wish list.
Right.
I think they changed it though.
They did. You do have to actually scrape it now. But the point is that what people want and what like gifts and stuff is a very that's a social engineering vector that people fall for a lot.
So I don't know. You remember? I could not remember. He's still active. The guy behind DEF CON Parties Twitter account. His name's Swarbo. I may be mispronouncing it. Trent. He did a presentation at ShmooCon. I want to say 2009, 2010 timeframe, where he found that you could very easily hack a lot of these different registry wedding planning websites, and he was actually demonstrating that you could jump into other people's accounts just by brute forcing the ID. And he was bypassing authentication by just setting, they were doing Google authentication, and you just set 0 to a 1 and it dropped you right into somebody's account. And the funniest thing that he did, at least he put it in his slides, I don't know if he did it for real, but as part of the wedding, they had a community discussion board where everyone could talk about the upcoming wedding and how excited they were. And he had this screenshot of everyone talking about, this wedding that's coming up. And then he, as one of the bridesmaids, put in a post. It was like, but does the bride know that he has syphilis yet? And and just threw it all in the thread. I don't know if Trent actually did that in reality, but it was kind of a similar thing on how you can use these things. It isn't just an issue of getting emails and phishing. You can use this platform if you hacked it properly to send your attacks through. The Amazon thing is an example of that. And
the wedding location has changed, right?
What's that?
Or something like the wedding location has been changed. Click here for an updated invite or something.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think that a lot of these platforms, they're more trustworthy than getting it from an email, right?
Yes.
People expect garbage to come in from their email or their DM messages on Twitter or whatever. But if you're actually working in a wedding that's coming up, that is something that's real. It's happening. You're working through this thing. And I think it really increases the trust value for these third-party applications quite a bit.
The weather right now is pretty hacky.
Is it?
I feel.
Hey everyone, Bud Patches with the Talkin Bout News Weather Center Accuseploit Weather on the Ones, sponsored by That's What I Call Patching. That's what I call patching, is all your favorite vulnerabilities and patches from 2008 to today. There's 187,222 CVEs in the NIST NVD, and they're available across your entire enterprise today. Moving through the week, starting Monday, we've got a lot of tech bros coming in. A strong tech bro front coming in from Twitter with a lot of gatekeeping and misogyny. So remember, if you're one of those individuals that made those tweets, the best time to delete it was immediately, and the second best time is now. Moving into Tuesday, we're going to see a lot of email as vendors prepare for RSA. They're ready to go back into their conference mode, and they've spent a lot of money getting those booths for RSA. So watch out for those vendor emails selling you fear, uncertainty, and doubt about all the things you need for your Infosec program. Moving into the middle of the week, that's right, Wednesday, the pew pew level drops back down to low, but we've got end of quarter formations. Now, you'll see a lot of those fronts from Tuesday with RSA vendor emails, but you're going to see a lot of salespeople trying to close their quarters, selling you silver bullets of AI, ML, machine learning, cloud augmented, agentless solutions. So keep an eye on that. Not a lot of risk, just, maybe not check your spam folder for a few days. Towards the end of the week here on Thursday, we have the first real issues coming up. That's right, the Shadow Server Foundation has found 380,000 Kubernetes APIs exposed on the internet. So remember, if your Kubernetes API is outside, it's exploitable. Bring it inside. That's where it wants to be. Now, finally, getting to the end of the week, we've got Friday. Well, as leaders get ready to head out for RSA and other conferences, it's the end of the month and it's coming to close. They're going to be looking for metrics on what's going on, what they should be reporting to the board, and what they should be looking at as they go to these conferences. Expect many requests for spreadsheets and metrics that you've possibly never given before and don't know why it's being asked for. That's the 5-day weather here from the AccuSploit Certified Weather Center. I'm Bud Patches. Back to you in the studio.
Bud Patches, just a quick question for you. I'm a little bit concerned about the cyberstorm that's coming up with additional fear, uncertainty, and doubt with RSA. How do you think that we as a community are going to be able to weather this storm of new FUD coming out with the RSA conference being moved to the summer? Will that impact the level of FUD that we normally get?
Oh, absolutely. There has been an unbelievable FUD buildup all through the pandemic. There's a lot of vendors that have just been waiting to tell you how their product and solution is the only silver bullet that can solve all your problems, and they are antsy to get that budget. So we can expect everything from AI will solve all of your password woes, all the way to machine learning can actually take care of all your technical debt. So I think we're going to see a large increase, and people should be aware.
I also think that we're going to be seeing a lot of single pane of glass solutions that may get shattered in this upcoming FUD storm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bud.
Yep. See you next time.
No, but in all seriousness, he just reminded me that RSA is coming, and I felt a little bit of dread in my stomach.
Are you gonna go, John? You gonna hang out there? It's really your spot.
It's 3 letters.
Those are my people. Those are my people. I have 2 things that I'm doing. One is a panel discussion on affordable security training with John Hammond from Huntress, and then the other thing that I'm doing is backdoors and breaches with Jason. But still, I'm not excited about going to San Francisco for RSA. Like walking the floor, it makes me die inside every single time.
Just a little bit of you gets lost.
Oh, and I read somewhere that 75% of the vendors that go to RSA and Black Hat never come back.
But what about the client demand generation, John? Is that going to happen?
I'm pretty convinced that RSA is nothing but vendors talking to other vendors. Talks. So.
It's like the thing where Jerry from Rick and Morty, he just keeps generating copies of himself. He's like, wow, you look amazing. And then another guy, oh, you look great. Your product looks so promising. Oh, you too. Like
hungry for Apple?
It's Siri and Alexa talking to each other.
I can sell you. a single pane of glass that makes single panes of glass.
Automatically? Just drop that bomb. That's awesome.
Can you put it on the blockchain?
Yes.
It's right up there with paper clothes. When you're done, you just throw them away. I'm an idea man. That's what I do.
Get a flood blocker for your gutters.
I'll come by Backdoors and Breaches there.
Yeah, there we go. The Backdoors and Breaches thing is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that because I like working with Cecilia. But yeah, I think literally Eric and I will go there and like just do what I got to do and then get the hell out as quickly as possible because I don't know. It just
don't leave anything valuable in your car.
I'll be at B-Sides right before RSA.
Oh, you are going out?
I'm speaking at, unfortunately, I mean, we'll see. I'm really going to attempt to travel, but
good luck with that.
I'm not very excited.
No, it's weird out there. Just more hotel rooms. So as we can start queuing, what is it? Here I Am from the Bob Seger band, Around the Road. What is it? Turn the Page. That's the name of the song.
Turn the page.
Yeah. So, all right. What else do we got for stories? Let's keep going through the stories.
Do you want to talk about the 22-year-old Office RCE bug that's being spread to steal snake keylogger? Spreads through malicious PDF. This is like a blast from the past. And it's
multiple
being used
blasts in the past.
There's like as soon as someone said PDF, I'm like, we're getting in the
good
DeLorean.
Times. Let's bust out the social engineering toolkit, baby. Embed some JNLPs.
Let's go back to time or back to the future. Excuse me. So I guess they found actively uses a malicious PDF file and a 22-year-old Office bug to propagate the snake keylogger malware. This was so I guess. The CVE is CVE 2017, and this is a remote code execution vulnerability in the execution editor, I think. It's an app installed by default with the Office suite that's used to insert and edit complex equations as OLEs or object linking embedded items in Microsoft Word documents.
I don't understand how the hell are the PDFs even getting delivered, because any PDF with any active content, like what is it, UCD and FATE decode, any of those, like it doesn't even make it through an email system. Like what dark magic are they doing to get active content PDFs in?
So John, it's probably just a URL and a PDF.
Yes. They're using the URL to get them started. That's what launches were.
So it's a PDF with a URL, which is an actual decent delivery technique. I've used that to bypass email filters because it doesn't scan. It doesn't like, you know how we have like URL replacers now where it's like safe paste or safe click or whatever.
Yeah. Safe click 2000.
Yeah. So instead you just put the URL in the PDF, then they click that, then it downloads the doc, which the doc has the malware in it, which sounds like it was written by Joff. It was like .NET keylogger malicious.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. He wrote it 17 years ago.
Yeah, he just forgot about it.
Oops. He forgot about this one.
He's like, what? Did I actually post that to GitHub? Oh, crap.
God. So, I mean, I guess what is old is new again. And, don't be surprised. But I do think it's interesting, though. I mean, obviously, this is only going to be hitting people who are susceptible to this vulnerability. So, I don't think this is for the latest version.
So is this patch, this Office thing?
Yeah.
It's not. It's been. So it's been.
It was patched 4 years ago.
Right. So it's funny because I believe that is that the bug discovered by Ryan Hansen. I remember.
Hoax Paragon just posted, LOL, it worked.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like the whole we were talking about in person at Wild West Hackin' Fest, that a lot of phishing campaigns fail because they're over-engineered. So this might be that, like, this Word doc, it's designed to select people that are like, patching, never heard of it. I just say no anytime Windows asks me anything.
But going back to Hoax Paragon's point, it's like if you're creating a malware delivery method that's only going to hit people that aren't patched, well, you've just done an amazing amount of selection as far as what your target is going to be, because they probably don't have any other defenses, right? So
and I will say, like, to put it all in context, first of all, this has been in the wild since 2020. And no one has provided specific details on how much it's worked or how this is kind of a I guess a stunt teardown, stunt reverse engineering of like something, right? So it's like we got to come up with some news. We got to stay in the news. What do we do? Oh, I tore down this word malware a couple of years ago. You want to just use that? Sure, post it. Let's call it Snake. I played Snake on my BlackBerry back in 2008. So
then we go with it. Oh, now I have like memories of like cramping in my thumbs. Thank you.
Nokia had Snake. Yeah, that was a good time.
That was a good one too.
It's a good name though. I mean, I'll allow it. Snake.
Yeah.
It's called.
Well, it's better than Panda or Dark.
Yeah.
Something.
It's better than like Snake Sec Keylogger 2000 variant.
Yeah, just go with something. Stick with the basics.
Exactly. Just a random animal.
That is funny that you brought up Ryan Hansen. I used to work with him, and yeah, this is like around the exact same time. This is
his bug, isn't it? I think it's his.
No, this is not. This is.
Are
not.
you sure?
I'm positive. His was 0199.
Somebody's got a puppy. He's excited to see her.
Where's the puppy?
There we go. There's a puppy.
He knows where it is.
Stop the news.
Stop the news.
It's over.
It's all over.
Cute puppy.
He needs to go for a walk.
Oh, he wants to get on the lap. You can tell. He's like,
yeah, that literally needs to be one of our other segments. We're just gonna have 30 seconds.
Bring in our
puppies
pets
playing around. Yes.
Yes.
Talking about news, show and tell our pets.
Yes. Just pets.
It just broke the internet.
Somebody asked, "Oh my god, what's your dog's name?" That's Hazel.
Cool.
I have a picture of her. She was Wire Shark for Halloween. So.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Wire Shark.
Yeah.
It was very cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
White Cyberduck says, "Tell Hazel I love her."
So, Ian, are you seeing any snakes there in the jungle?
Cyberduck
looking around.
You can't fall in love. White Cyberduck, you can't fall in love with every puppy that just comes across, because it could be that Hazel's a jerk. It could be that Hazel just puts and pees everywhere and chews things up. You don't know. It's infatuation. That's what you have, White Cyberduck.
No, she's the best.
So
while we were chatting, I was looking around to see. I found some Mayan ruins that had the original RCE for this snake.
the calendar vulnerability.
Yeah. So it's amazing. The Mayan calendar ended right around the same time that support for Windows XP stopped. So I knew that this
what a
was
coincidence.
And that's it. Does that mean that support for any further patches is over because the Mayan Kingdom is officially done? That's their end of support calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I have the perfect gift for this. Why did it have to be snakes from Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Why did it have to be PDFs? Why PDFs?
Speaking actually of new attacks, though, I guess the Pwn to Own happened last month, right? It was in April. But with that said, car hacking was kind of popular. I think they hacked a Tesla. They did actually had a remote code execution. But there's another article here from Hacker News about Bluetooth attack that can help attackers remotely unlock smart locks and cars. So locks, Bluetooth tech, locks, good, bad stuff here. Pwn to Own recap. Everything was pwned. There's a lot of money on the line. But
you know what's funny is Pwn to Own no one seems to care about anymore.
I would if I was
Microsoft definitely cares.
I remember when it came out with Microsoft, I think is one of the sponsors now.
Yeah.
Whenever Pwn to Own first came out, I think it was CanSec West, Dragos's conference. And it was a huge deal, right? Like everything fell. It was a big deal. There was money on the table and everything got hacked. Next year they did it again. It was a big deal. And then over time, it's just like, well, yeah, of course everything got hacked. It's almost like it's not that big of a news story anymore, which I think is a little bit depressing, that we're that desensitized to it at this point, because I think we would all be surprised if Pwn to Own happened and like no one got Chrome, no one got Microsoft, no one got Apple, maybe they got Android. We'd be like, wait, what? That would be the bigger news story.
I feel like the scary thing about this one is that it's a relay. It's just like a generic kind of formula for an attack, which is always super scary. It's like, hey, we have these things called karma attacks. Every vendor's vulnerable. Like it's like,
but how do you fix that? Like if you're doing a relay of it, Like, I mean,
well, you have to
Faraday
integrate.
bags. You all have to, your whole body in a Faraday bag.
You'd have to put that into your threat model as an IoT engineer. You have to be like, well, we have to assume that things can be relayed and have like nonces or what.
Yeah,
you know,
with the Tesla though, they just put like a pin.
Relaying a Bluetooth. Like if you relay TCP/IP that way, you're more than likely you're going to see a TTL decrement, right? Like if I set up a proxy and I relay it, you're going to see the TTLs go down. Maybe now you can change that, right, with the packets, but with this type of relay attack, I just don't know. Like,
so there's response time limits they can do. So like
it has to happen. So
quick. It has to, like, say you go to unlock your car. If the car doesn't get a response in 30 seconds or whatever, it just goes back to sleep, or like something like that. I mean, it comes down to like the IoT like supply chain or whatever you want to call it is a really long chain. So like if they didn't integrate this kind of stuff into their planning and development, then it is like going to be years before anything like this can be fixed. Not to mention the whole problem with updating and all that stuff. So, you know, if you have a smart lock or if you have a car, you're kind of in trouble, right? I guess a smart lock at least.
If you own a car, you're screwed, dude. They're stealing it. Everyone.
No, I own cars that have no electronics, and I do that on purpose.
But we kind of go back to, you know, this is something that bothers me, right? Because we will almost never, as a pen testing firm, get to do this type of attack. We just won't, right? It's outside of the threat model. If we talk about it, we're like, we got this really cool attack where we could like break into the car. And they'll be like, yeah, no, we want to cut the days back. You know, it's rare. We have these things that come out, and a lot of times they just kind of die because I don't think that they're actively being exploited in companies. So it tends to get ignored. And then they become this weird gray area of forever days that literally an attacker can use for years, just because it's not being seen regularly by the pen testing community.
Yeah, so it basically says like these should be mitigated by requiring more than just inferred proximity, meaning like just because you're close to your Tesla or you were 30 seconds ago, you shouldn't just unlock. But
well, that's why on the Tesla, for example, you can enable a pen. So that way, if you actually want to drive the darn thing, you actually still have to type a pen, which is usually enough barrier to entry. Like, you know, they're not going to try all the pens. And also it only lets you try like 3 times.
And that gets into another, you know, if probably your threat model isn't the car is stolen, because I wouldn't steal a Tesla because that thing is going to be tracked.
It's a low jack. You're literally stealing a low jack.
It's not going to be like Fast and Furious where they're like, oh, we got a Model S. And no, they're going to know exactly where that car is. I think many times when you're looking at the actual threat model, and I think White Cyberduck hit it, is what's in the car. And usually an attacker, they could try to unlock the car by relaying Bluetooth, or they could just break a window and steal a package or a bag.
The easiest way in.
Yeah, which is probably the easiest thing.
Yeah, I mean, leave your car unlocked if you do go to San Francisco, because they'll break the window and the insurance is more than whatever you had in it. But the thing is, like with this, I think it's more like it applies, I think, in scary edge cases like, oh, your brakes failed. Cool. You're dead. You know, that like that kind of stuff is scarier like to me than like breaking and entering or stealing a car is not that rewrite. Like it's a living low jack device. But
let's step back though, and outside of cars, right, which are, you know, the mobile thing,
the smart locks
around.
And stuff.
Yeah, the smart locks. So let's talk about those, right? Like on your house, like the locks you have most of the time on your door, they're literally just there to make you feel good at night. Like they're not really like. You know, I mean, like literally a 6-year-old kid could probably kick down your front door with the lock locked, right?
That's a big 6-year-old.
Well, he's talking about using the 6-year-old as a battering ram.
As a battering ram, yeah. It's
work child abuse.
My
thing have a helmet on. It's fine. It's Florida.
Yeah, here's the thing
with physical door locks that I always tell people is like the lock is not there to keep people from getting in. At best, it's there to slow them down so I can get out.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
What were you going to say, Ian?
Oh no, I was just going to say that, like, we keep mentioning Teslas, but in reality, the proximity door lock. I mean, they're on Nissans, they're on everything. I have a friend of mine who had his car stolen by a crew here, not the car stolen, but stuff in his car stolen by a crew in Orlando, and the police were like, yeah, what they're doing is they see models of cars that they know have these things, and they just walk up to your front door with the relay at night because it looks like maybe they're going to your front door, but they just get close enough that the fob in your bedroom or whatever opens up, they grab everything in your trunk and they're gone. And that's it.
Keep your keys in a Faraday cage, or some
well,
kind
that was
of
the
bowls now. They sell little decorative RFID bowls
Mhm.
that you can throw that stuff in.
It's a huge inconvenience, even if it is like insurance will take care of it or whatever. But I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's kind of like us saying like, oh, we'll just encrypt all your passwords and you don't have to worry, or like just do this and you'll never have to worry about ransomware. Just have perfect backups and disaster recovery.
And I think we're trying to be better about that, right? Like, I think that's kind of a flippant statement that we say in security a lot of times. Well, all you have to do is do this. And we know that it's far more complicated than that. Like, if we're like, all you got to do is patch. Well,
just keep nothing of value in your car ever. Okay, well then why do I have a car?
Only buy the crappiest car that you wouldn't care if it got stolen. Look,
that reminds me of that Saturday Night Live sketch where they're talking about a new car and it looks like a complete beater and it's like leaking oil, and they're like, this is the guaranteed way to make sure that no one ever steals your car.
I would say that's a stick shift.
Phil Hartman was the guy that did it. It was a great sketch. So.
Well, if it's a gasoline or a diesel car, the gas is too expensive, so they won't bother stealing it.
Steal it at all.
Only if it has a full tank, right?
They're like, they have a Bluetooth tank level checker. They're like, nah.
Well, I will say that like that's actually I mean, it's not entirely related, but that's been a common attack that we've been seeing in the Midwest, at least, where people have been taking like cordless drills and a drill bit and just drilling a hole in the bottom of your gas tank and draining it out.
That's like
there's not
so
a single damn thing about that sounds intelligent to me.
Just siphon it at that point and don't screw over the other person. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, like, we put in these anti-siphon locks, so it's this whole thing of like security improves and then the attackers improve their
Somebody
methodology.
beats it with a drill.
So we put in these anti-siphon locks, and then someone's like, "Fine, I have a drill," and now you have like $150 gas tank repair.
I'm just
$150. That's the cheapest gas tank on the field.
I don't repair gas tanks.
One spark away from disaster. Just one spark.
Increase in people dying in fires under cars somehow.
Oh my god!
I think the catalytic converters.
Oh, I dropped my phone. I was under there. I was looking for it.
Oh man! Do you guys want to talk about this last one here, the PayPal
DOJ one?
Or DOJ? We can talk about.
I want to talk about the DOJ one.
There's also Costa Rica. Don't forget, and there's a Kubernetes thing. So
Costa Rica is kind of doing the same thing as the bank in Africa. Where they're like, we ain't paying.
We ain't paying. We're shutting down the country instead.
So the DOJ one, I think Ryan's looking for it right now. Let me get it in the chat real fast. I don't know if we got it added. So the Department of Justice added in some updated guidance on prosecuting, basically prosecuting hacks and how it relates to good faith security research. And I think that this is interesting for a number of reasons. Like for me, if we go right here, the policy for the first time directs that good faith security research should not be charged. Good faith security research means accessing a computer solely for the purpose of good faith testing, investigation, correction of a security flaw or vulnerability, where such activity is carried out in a manner designed to avoid any harm to individuals, the public, or the information derived from the activity. Now, what's interesting about this is the Department of Justice is currently prosecuting a number of cases that this would be applicable to, and helping create a delineation between a security researcher and somebody who's calling themselves a security researcher and is literally just hacking. And I think the key points on this is the idea of good faith. What are you doing with that? So the example, the people at DOJ that I've talked to is, if you're hacking and you're doing security research and you attempt to reach out to that company with that security vulnerability, you're going to be most likely fine, right? If you reach out to a company and they're not responding and you go to the overall community and you release this research for the protection of people that may be using this product or service, that's also considered to be in good faith, right? Because that's your ultimate end goal. If you hack into a network and find a security vulnerability and you start downloading tons and tons and tons of data, you might be crossing the line at that point, because that's unnecessary from the purposes of good faith to actually prove that security vulnerability exists and the impact of it. Because you could just take screenshots and some other things with that as well. If you're doing security research and you're sharing it with the community for the purposes of, sharing it with the criminal underground, you're going to get in trouble. So I like this because I think it actually brings some clarity as far as what you're doing, and it ultimately comes into what is your ultimate goal and objective. And that ultimate goal and objective will be determined based on your actions once you find that vulnerability. And I think it ultimately begins with attempting to communicate with the company that you found the vulnerability in. And if they're not responsive after a number of times, then you can kind of fall back to kind of Google's Project Zero Day, Tavis's organization. Like, what is it, like a month if there's no response?
It's really cool. This actually came up in the HD Moore episode of Darknet Diaries I was listening to. But basically, all of the Project Zero Day Initiative, their standard is they do, I think it's 30 days or 45 days to the vendor. And then after that time, it goes both to NIST or whatever government organization.
Yep.
Yeah. So it like basically they hand it out. They say, okay, you get 30 days of exclusive time. After that, we're handing it to these parties and they're going to disclose it. So it like it spreads this responsibility beyond just the individual of being like, I'm going to post it to my Twitter. It's like, no, NVD or whoever is going to post it on this day. So it's kind of a mix. I agree. It's an awesome, the clarity is nice, but I think also we talk about intent all the time. Like even when we're talking about pen testing, we're always like, well, if something bad happens, just make sure that you can prove that you had good intentions. But now seeing like actual legal teeth that go along with that kind of make that more documented than just being like, I had good intentions. Don't, it's fine. Is a good thing. Now we just need a like national nonprofit that can like help security researchers with their legal fees, because you can still smush someone with legal fees, right? You can still,
and that gets into, the EFF, let's be honest, the EFF steps in and does a great job, right, of trying to do that, but they could always use more assistance. And it's also interesting, this is really kind of clarifying the interpretation as far as the Department of Justice is concerned for the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which Computer Fraud and Abuse Act says if you gain unauthorized access to a computer or exceed your authorized access on that computer, and it's a protected computer system, and the damages are in excess of $5,000, and I can describe what a protected computer is. But the point of it all is, if you were just interpreting the CFAA as it stands, even basic level security research, web scraping, any of those, you could be in violation of the CFAA.
Pressing F12.
Pressing F12. In fact, Facebook tried to press charges against a company that was doing scraping, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and it got vacated, and then the appellate court basically stood it up again. But there's a lot that goes around with that, because if you're reading and interpreting the law as written, it puts a lot of us at risk for all kinds of vulnerabilities, just doing legitimate pen testing, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
All right. I love, was it Timmy?
All tools now need to come with a good -intention flag. I love it.
Yeah, that flag's actually built into Mascan, and what it does is it blocks all the DoD ranges, all the military ranges,
automatically.
Oh my! Don't let Rob hear that, because that will be built in by this weekend.
Probably.
But no, I mean, one of the things that I like about this is, I mean, I echo what everyone said about having some clear guidance. But I mean, all kidding aside, with the F12 guy, what was that, Missouri? There's still a lot of state laws and people prosecutors that will fall on that sword to say, well, yeah, I can get a prosecutorial win here because nobody understands how these computers work, and I can probably get a jury to convict this guy.
And that's how they choose their cases, right? Not based on what, and that's one of the things, again, that they mentioned in the HD Moore episode, is which he created Metasploit, which obviously has a ton of legal, and like people every day would email his boss and be like, hey, you should fire this guy. But he basically said that the prosecutors will only pick cases they think they can win. And that doesn't always have to follow, the law or intentions or any of that. It's just based on like, well, like you said, there's enough traction at the state level. There's this law that, we can do it.
Well, and that was one of the things, for years HD was terrified of, right? I don't know if he talks about it. I haven't listened to the Darknet Diaries episode. Wasn't just the issue that he could be sued successfully. It was just, it would take up all of his time eventually.
Yeah, and money, and that's exactly right. And that's part of why the Metasploit was. He basically said this. He was like, early on, we made sure it was very public. We had a huge number. Yeah, it was a framework. There's tons of developers. We announced it to millions of people at every conference we could go to. And basically that kind of brings it into enough of a public stance that like if something were to happen, the EFF or whoever would step in. But like if you're just some guy, if you're the F12, I mean, I guess that kind of hit the news. But there's a lot of cases where if it's just some person that doesn't have this framework, they don't have a huge following, they don't have enough of an audience or a user base to prove that, this will help protect that. This new clarification will hopefully help protect those individuals that don't have like a backing, like a huge, following. So it's a good thing, but
they can use my audience. If they can send me a DM and I'll amplify that out.
Well, and I think next week, speaking of like this whole conversation, I think it's part of it is, I've been seeing lots of tweets from you, Serena, about TikTok is just, they're nuking tons of your videos.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of feeds into the conversation as well. And I think we should talk about that next week for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, I could talk about that for hours for sure. It's a little sore subject because I posted a new video today that was taken down. And unless I'm dropping like 0 days on TikTok,
it was John the Ripper, right?
Yeah, it was literally just like, hey, you can use John the Ripper to crack passwords on a zip file. And it was like, I got it from Hack the Box. And so it was a zip file. Then I used John the Ripper to grab the password out of it. And yeah, they removed it within an hour. And those videos are always the ones that do really well. That's like what people are interested in, like tools and techniques. But
there's no recourse. Like I assume they're not like responding to you and
I can do like an appeal, but the people that go through and watch those videos are not technical people. They're the chances of them having a really good understanding of what I'm talking about and kind of ethical hacking in general. I think when you post stuff online, they're like, oh, thanks. Like you're going to let all these people know how to hack things and whatever. Like you really don't know who's going to be reviewing that content.
Remember the Chinese and the Russians are just waiting. We need to get into this computer in Ukraine. Has Serena released another video yet?
I've got a zip file I got to crack.
We got it. It's got a cute song in the background. God, I hope so. Does it have her dog? Thank God.
No, it got taken down. Dang it.
Well, no,
but I mean,
get these nuclear codes out of the zip file.
That's why they took it down. She's like, they're burning what we're using. We gotta take it down.
They're burning all their PTPs.
Yeah, they're like John the Ripper. I thought that was Russian only.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. And and it makes me mad too that they have a bug TikTok has a bug bounty program. So I mean they are having ethical hackers and they're inviting them like, hey, try our app, report vulnerabilities. But then the second you start doing education around that, they don't want you to use your platform or their platform.
Totally algorithm gone wild, right? It's exactly what happens on YouTube where it's like if you say certain things, it's like demonetized or it's like they have it because of the extreme fire hose of content. They just code up some janky like if then statement. They're like, if you said the word crack and you downloaded a file, then banned it or whatever.
I want to go on TikTok and just randomly see if I can find something worse than that video. And I'm done. So that's it. That was their good deed today. All right, folks, we need to wrap it up. I want to say thanks to all of you for coming. I really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. By the way, tomorrow we have the live stream at Antisyphon address space layout randomization. So go over to the Antisyphon YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a 30-minute session with Bill Stearns, which is going to be completely mind-blowing. And then we're bringing Chris Brenton back. We had a lot of people that were really excited with what Chris did last week. So we're bringing him back to do another session. So check that out. We've got a lot of really cool content and it's all just very dense, 30 minutes, get in, all killer, no filler. So check that out. And as
it
always,
won't be banned or taken down.
We hopefully won't be banned. Final thing is, as always, like and subscribe, please. It feeds our families, everyone. Right. Thank you so much. And
think of the dogs.
Think of Serena's puppy. Yes. Like and subscribe because that dog ain't going to feed itself, folks. You need to help.
Yeah.
It's not Wireshark costumes either.
There we go. Think of Wireshark. All right. Bye, Hazel. Later,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.